Hi guys, so I'm back. This is part 2 of the Book of Shadows video. So this is pretty much just giving you an idea of stuff that you can put in your Book of Shadows. So when I mentioned that, you can follow whatever path you want and talk to whatever deities you want to and do things your way because that's the way your spirituality is going to be to you. It's same thing for your Book of Shadows. So, the whole tool thing with the Athame, where it says it has to be a black handled, with silver and all that kind of stuff. You saw in my video, mine is not. You do it how you feel. So this is giving you an idea of what I have in my Book of Shadows and what I'm going to have in my Book of Shadows. So first and foremost, I had a binder because I was one to print off stuff and then I was going to do a book later that I could do. So I had a binder, and then I had my first Book of Shadows that I made, and now I have my third one. So yeah, confusing. So this is my first one. So on the front here I have the Wiccan Rede, this short version, and then I have a picture thing that I drew on the back. Honestly, with the binder you can do whatever you wanted. You could print out something that's the Book of Shadows. And then I have a bunch of page protectors. Let's see if I can. Here we go. It's a bunch of page protectors, which are filled with information. So, I have my book blessing, which I wrote, and then I draw cover pages for each category, I guess you could call it, in the Book of Shadows. So as you can see, I have another drawn Book of Shadows one, and I'll show you. Yeah, it's like I'm not going to make them out, but I will. So, Book of Shadows, just kind of anything that resonates with you. So I have some runes, the goddess symbol that I have tattooed on my back, my interpretation of a chalice, a cat, 4 element signs in my zodiac, which happens to also be my wife's zodiac, so that kind of works. And we both like purple, so purple, the B looks really cool, the K is a candelabra, the S has a pentagram in it, H is a bell, all that kind of stuff. Just be creative, do whatever you want. And then I have the Wiccan Rede is next. So this is what the outline for that page looks like. Okay, and then I think I have it written in my book already, but then I have the Wiccan Rede written in here, which the best way it wasn't organized like this before, but once you have another book and you're planning on transferring information over, set it out. So one page will be this, and then the next page will be the Wiccan Rede. Well, behind that one is the Wiccan Rede. Okay, and that's like a medium version of it that I'm going to put in there. I don't want to put the full one in there. So all the other cover pages are going to kind of look like this. If it looks different, I'll show you. Okay, and then I have the Witch's Creed, which is a little bit different than the Rede. It's just up to you if that's something that you want. And then the Law of Return, so the Law of 3. Kind of looks like that. And then I have the 13 Goals of a Witch, which I'm not sure if I'm still going to put that in there or not, but I've got one. So, I don't know if you can that one. And then I have the 13 Principles of Wiccan Belief. Again, not sure if I'm going to have this one in there or not, but. And then I have the big one, which takes up quite a bit of pages, which is the 161 Laws of Wicca, so 161 Wiccan Laws. So what I'm going to do for that one is I've got the cover page that looks like that, similar to the rest of them. And then I've taken this middle design and blown it up so that it's like a border around the page, and then I'm doing it that way. And then I have a section for the divine. So I have different gods and goddesses that I've got that I want to look up. This is where the information will go, that section in my book. So this is what the cover page for that one looks like. And this is gods and goddesses in different languages. So I can't remember what I got. I think I got Norse and Roman and Greek. Something else I can't remember. Can't remember now, but it says god and goddess in those different languages. And then clouds, and then the world, and then you have the god with the male symbol, and then whoa, the goddess with the goddess symbol. And then I have the charge of the goddess after that, and the charge of the god, and then some of the different goddesses and gods. So pretty much what I did is I just searched a list of different gods and goddesses, and then I chose from that list of ones that I might want to know. So like, for example, for goddesses you have a lot of Greek goddesses on here. There's a Hindu god, Anna. Right? She's the Hindu goddess of food and nutrition. Aphrodite, Artemis. And then they have their Roman template. So of course Aphrodite is Venus, Artemis is Diana. Then you have like Athena, Bast, Bridget, Caradwyn, Demeter. There's Danu. We have a Mesopotamian goddess of darkness, death, and gloom. And I can't say her name. It's Ereshkigal. Ereshkigal. I don't know. She just part of the description that I saw of her was just, it kind of drew to me for some reason. And then there's a couple other ones. Sotera, Sophia, Spider Woman, Rose Myrta. Then I have the gods, which is also like a couple pages. So you have Anubis on here, so there's some more Egyptian gods on this one. Aten, Coyote, which is First Nations, Apollo, Dagda, Dionysus, Eros. Also, I got Ganesh in here somewhere. Ra, of course. I have Ra and Bast, as I mentioned in the last one, because they're the two gods that I know that I pray to. And Zeus, all that kind of stuff. And that's it pretty much for the deity. So it's pretty much just going to be the charge of both the god and the goddess, and then information on these gods that I choose from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the lists that I just read you and you just saw. I'm going to print them out, write them out, and then I'm going to pick 3 gods and 3 goddesses, and I'm going to leave room for a couple other ones that I'm going to go in more in depth. So of course, like I said, Bast and Ra are ones that I already know that I resonate with. So they definitely go in there, and then some other stuff like that. And my whole point of doing 3 is, especially with goddess, right? You have maiden, mother, and crone. People believe that there's a similar aspect of that with the male god, but I haven't seen it quite yet, so that's why I'm trying to broaden my horizons. Then you have the Wheel of the Year. So I just have it printed out. And of course this is for the Northern Hemisphere, but I think I'm going to incorporate both the Northern and the Southern Hemisphere in this, just so that I'm more aware of what it is in the northern hemisphere versus what it is in the southern hemisphere. I know it's the complete polar opposite, so like when it's Levon, it's actually Ostera. Right? That's the whole point of having this. But just so that I know. And then for each one of those, so I'm going to have a picture kind of like this, and then I'm going to have a page for each Sabbat, maybe one or two, so it's about 24 pages worth of information. So Sabbat info, a ritual, a craft, an incense, and an oil, and the last two will be ones that I can make, if I so feel. And then it's going to be the elements. So the 4 basic elements, not sure if you can see that. This is going to change because I haven't redrawn it since I found out that the elements resonate in different directions for me, so that will change. Whoa! But yeah. And then this will kind of change as well, but so there's that. And that's another thing, you know, the whole element. When it comes to elements, it's really dicey on what direction you do it in. So some people do it in exactly what the books say. You know, like north is earth, and west is water, air is east, and south is fire. But I resonate different from where I sit. I feel like focus is better for me. So fire is still the south. So it's still the south because I think of heat. So I live in Canada where everything south is hotter than we are. Okay, so south is still fire. But for me, earth is not in the north, it's in the west, because I live right along the edge of the Rocky Mountains in Canada, and to the east is this giant mountain range, huge mountains. So east for me, when I think of, west, when I think of east, I think of water, because that's where a lot of the Atlantic fish comes from, of course, because the Atlantic Ocean is to the east of us, but Newfoundland, and you have like the Great Lakes are to the east of us, just very much water-based culture over there. So that's why I resonate with east for water. And then air is north for me, and it's north for me because cold north air always blows in for us, so that's just what I've grown up with and what I associate air with, so northern cold air. It's always fun. And then I have just a table. The table just kind of says element table of correspondence, so you have element, you have the color for each element, the direction, the time of day, phase of life. So for example, air is birth/childhood, fire is youth, water is adulthood, and then earth is old age and death. Just the cycle, everything's a cycle. Like this, you know, this belief, the moon phases, the wheel of the year, everything is a cycle. I'm gonna kill my cat. He keeps coming up here and trying to relax, but then he ends up chewing on a book. Look at little baby. This is how he likes to be held. He won't be held any other way. And then, so phase of life, then you have the season. The governs, so what it governs. So, air is like thoughts, communication, and knowledge, that kind of thing. Like emotions and knowledge. Then traditional witch power, and by that it's like the power to know, the power to will, the power to dare, and the power to be silent, that kind of stuff. Then the symbol, of course, so the triangle with the line, or the triangle, or the upside down triangle, or that stuff. The elemental tool that corresponds with it. It also has a grounding tool, which I didn't know until I did this this chart. So to let you know that air is the staff, fire is the sword, water is the cauldron, and earth is the human body. Okay. And then there's other tools that can be associated with each one. So that's how that works. And then I'm going to have information on, give me a second here, candle magic, then color magic, and then I'm going to have a section on divination. So this isn't fully set out in my book yet. And divination, it's going to be like a little bit of information on tarot, a little bit of information on oracle cards, scrying, crystal balls, Ouija board, that kind of stuff, pendulum, okay, runes. I think that's about all of them. And then herbs. I have stuff kind of written out for herbs. I don't remember where I put it. But pretty much just going to do like a chart. So every herb that I can think of, what its properties are, what its name is, and another, like its native name. So like the Latin version of its name. Yeah, like I said, what it does, what it corresponds with, like planet-wise, color-wise. What else did I have on there? Oh, whether it's faithful or not, so that means whether it's poisonous or not. So that's a good thing to know when it comes to herbs. You don't want to be burning or ingesting something that might kill you. So that's a good thing. Polar. Get down. And then I'm going to have essential oils. Pretty much I think I might incorporate that with the herb part. Like, you know, you can do the essential oil of this. If it's different, then I'll write what it's for. Because sometimes when you put an herb into an essential oil, sometimes the magical properties change. I found that very weird, but yeah. And then stones and crystals. So you know which ones are for protection. So it's more going to be done that way. Protection stones, and then label them off. Stones to help with prosperity, label them off, that kind of stuff. And then number magic, because I'm very big on numbers, so like 3 and 13, got higher numbers 9. Tools, so of course, like the videos that I did, the chalice, the pentacle, the athame and the wand and the book of shadows. Just a little bit of info on them, probably about 1 or 2 pages of that. Stay down. And then symbols. So by symbols, I mean things like the pentagram, what a wheel could mean, the spiral, the goddess symbol, horned god symbol, the runes, a key, what a spider web is, an ankh, which is that, if you don't know what an ankh is. Okay, mister, you are really getting on my nerves. You're gonna sit right here, okay? The triquetra, the fairy star, the moon, a star in general, a hexagram, and an evil eye. That's kind of what I've chosen for my symbols. And then how to cast a circle. So information, basic, and then an in-depth one. Different corner callings. So if you do call the corners, so calling the guardians or the elements or the corners to protect your circle in your ritual. So that kind of information. Then we have the basic one that we use just for basic rituals and basic stuff like that. So that's going to be in there. So it's our own version. And then tips and tricks for doing the casting of a circle. And then pretty much the rest of my book. So that sits at like 104 pages, if not a bit more. And then the rest of the book is all spell work. So yeah, rituals, crafts, recipes, which is technically a kitchen witchery, how to make certain sachets, how to make bath salts, how to make candles, how to make whatever. Anything where you're actually making it and putting your energy into doing it, that's a spell work. So it will go in that section. What I do is I write it out different first. For example, I write it out and then I put it in where I'm like in the spell section, and then once I have a lot done and a lots of different variety of stuff, that's when I'm going to start writing them in there so I can kind of categorize them. If not, I'm going to have to try and figure out a way to mark that, you know, these are spells for love, or these are spells for forgiveness, or something like that, or these are all spells, these are all rituals, these are all sachet spell or recipes, these are all incense recipes, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I just write it down. So for this one, it's a forgive and forget spell. It says, learn this spell and have it to be chanted by heart. So, yeah, it's so that, like, something that you remember off the top of your head so that you can go ahead and recite it as need be. So, for example, forgive and forget, love and let go. Feelings soften, feelings flow. Like the river flows and flows. Like the river flows and flows. Like the river flows and flows. Like the river finds the sea, so I flow in harmony. This is my will, so mote it be. And then a description of what you're supposed to do with it. So like this one is one that you're supposed to know off by heart, so that's included in here. Write out the spell on a nice piece of paper, so like a calligraphy paper or on the back of scrapbooking paper, and carry it with you. That in and of itself is a magical act and creates a magical object. So you're carrying it with you, so that helps keep that going. While you are learning the spell, make sure you learn the spell by heart. Once you have it down, say the spell as soon as you start to think of that person again. So if it's you're trying to forget an ex, you do this one. You're trying to forgive your current lover, say it in your head. If you're trying to get over an argument with someone at work, say it. Close your eyes and hold both your hands on your heart, your center position. Breathe deep 3 times, say the spell with meaning out loud and in your mind at the same time. If you're in a place where you can't say it out loud, don't say it out loud. And then at the point where it gets to, and this is my will, so mote it be, so the very 2 last sentences of your spell, you would say, you open your hands and you gesture outwards. So you've had your hand here, just taking a moment, you're just like, and then you just send that power out to the universe when you're done. So this is my will, so mote it be. Okay? And then just walk away. Take a couple breaths and just walk away and just remember that spell. It's there to focus you, it's there to help your mind, all that kind of stuff. Once you have done this spell once, you can re-invoke it at any time you need to by just saying it in your mind or out loud, and in your mind at the same time if you need to, if you need more power. So if you say it in your mind and then say it out loud and then say it in your mind, kind of thing. Reinforce it. Okay? So that's just an example of a spell. So you just put your instructions for what you're going to do. If there's any ingredients, you put it on a piece of paper. And then later on, when you're ready to write it in your book, if you want to organize stuff, which I'm a little bit of an organization freak, that's when you'll copy them down. So yeah, that is the basic outline of what I'm going to have in my Book of Shadows. And I think what I'm going to do is this one here. I'm going to make it just spells and rituals and crafts and stuff like that. So this is going to be that kind of stuff. This is a spell book. And then this one here is going to have the spells that I read in here will also be in here, but it's going to be like the go-to kind of book. So this will have all my information in it. It'll have a backup for all my spells in it. This is going to be like an information book. So yeah, when it comes to relearning, you know, it's a good idea to start keeping track of what you're learning, right? Because then you have a reference guide back to it. So whether you keep a copy of the website, whether you print off a copy of it, which I did, and put it into a binder, then you're starting. And then once you're ready to commit to doing a Book of Shadows, like spending the time to write it out. A lot of people actually don't write them out. A lot of people keep them as printed pages and all that kind of stuff. But I'm an object person. I'm a materialistic person, so I need to have that there. But yeah, so then it gets written in here. And then that way it's something that can be passed on and a little bit more, like if my kids, if I ever have kids, decide that, you know, this is the path they want to follow, they have that option. Sorry, I keep rubbing my nose. My allergies are so bad. I don't know if you can see my eyes and my nose is red and swollen. It's just, allergies are kicking my butt this year. Yeah, just keep track of what you're learning, because you never know what you might want to have in your Book of Shadows and what knowledge you might want to pass on to people, or you might want to reference back to. Because especially if you're like me and you're relearning your path because you felt lost, you can look back at what you kept and what you printed out and what you thought resonated with you at the beginning and go, does that still work for me? Like, do I still believe that? And that's really what happened with me for like the elements. Like I said, you know, I switched it because it just wasn't working for me. And then once I switched them, everything aligned and just clicked, and it's just so much better. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry it's been a while since I've done a video, but now I'm giving you 2. And then next week we will start something else. Don't know what yet, but we'll start something else. But yeah, I'll keep you updated on how my Book of Shadows is going every once in a while once I put stuff in there and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so hope you guys have a good day. The cat's still pushing stuff everywhere. But yeah, bye guys.